Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Look here, in this episode, I'm going to tell you about this guy that had, he was Celley's with his girlfriend's brother. And it didn't turn out too good, y'all, because the boyfriend wanted to get his girlfriend, which was his Celley's sister, to bring in that pack, y'all. Let me tell you how that turned out, okay? It's going to be a good one. So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, y'all. Take it as two Celleys, right? These guys, you know what I'm saying, they know each other from the streets. And one of the guys, like I said, he was locked up before the brother. But while he was locked up, you know, he's trying to do like everybody else in the penitentiary, you know what I'm saying, do his time the best he can. He found him a little hustle on the side to try to make him a little money, right? So here's the thing. When the young guy gets locked up, right? Well, they're not young. They're not in their 20s. Both of them in their 30s. They've been in the streets for a while. So when the young guy gets locked, well, when the one guy gets locked up, he's in the cell and he's talking about his sister and all this, and he's showing him the pictures of her and all this, and he's like, man, she looks nice, man, so on and so forth, right? But here's what he did, and this is what a lot of people in the penitentiary do. That's why I'm careful. I try not to show anybody, you know what I'm saying, pictures of my family. I most definitely don't let nobody see my addresses, but I always tell my family, my loved ones, if you get a letter from somebody and I didn't tell you that letter was coming or anything like that, or let you know in case of emergency, such might contact you for me. If I don't tell you that and anybody contacts you in my name, it's game. Don't trust nothing that they're saying. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I don't even care if what they're saying is true. If I didn't tell them to call you or write you, don't pay no attention to it, right? But a lot of people don't take those precautions because they don't really get, you know what I'm saying, the rawness of the penitentiary like I do, right? But here's the thing. This guy, he gets this brother's, his seller's address. So he writes. He got her name. He know her name. He writes her and he tell her, look, your brother told me to holler at you. You know what I'm saying? Blase, Skippy, this, and that. So she's not really paying attention to it, you know what I'm saying? Because her brother running his mouth done told him that she's going through some things with the dude out there and all that. He done laid out a blueprint for this guy to manipulate, to pretend to act like he cares, to be that ear, somebody that she can talk to. You feel what I'm saying? Somebody that she can trust. He's coming real hard like that. And guess what happens? She writes back. Bam. Now, the brother is not really even paying attention. And keep in mind, his seller's not telling him that he's nurtured this relationship now, right? So they writing back and forth real hot and heavy for about a month. Dude ain't even calling home to see what's going on with his mom and his sister and all that. He's on the phone with his gal. He ain't paying no attention to none of that. You know what I'm saying? So here we go, y'all. Here we go. He finally finds out that his seller done came up with his sister. How does he find that out? Well, he happens to call home one day. And when he called home, she told him, thank you for giving such and such my information so he could write me. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get on his visitation list now. He said, what are you talking about? And then she tells him the whole story and all this and that. And he's like, I didn't do that. And for some odd reason, he says she didn't even pay attention to that when he told her he didn't do that. Now, he hot. I'm talking about when I say hot, he's hot because he knows what has happened. He knows this dude done been through his property and got that address because he didn't give it to dude. So he go back to the cell. They getting them up. They fighting. I'm talking about going in at it. You feel what I'm saying? And both of them holding their own. You feel me? But at the end of the day, the fight over, they stay in the cell with each other. He tell him, man, you disrespected me and blah, 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 this and that. So he calling his sister now on the three-way with his gal. And he telling her, I don't want you coming up here seeing dude. But see, what had happened is that her heart was into it now. Even though she knows that this was built on false pretenses. it was built on false pretense, but she wants to stick with it. Why? Because she's in love with this dude. And that happens more than y'all might want to believe out there. After 1 month of writing, or so, something like that, that's how it came to me anyway, she feel like she know this dude. And even though he lied to her, she wants to see where this is going to go. Now, he's in a position now where he calls and talks to her, and he admitted, he's like, I didn't tell you, you know what I'm saying, that I got that address because I didn't think you would talk to me and all this old kind of stuff, this and that. Now, you could say that kind of stuff to somebody when you know that you got their heart. But if he'd have told her from the get-go, look, I went in your brother's property, got your address, and I decided to write you to see what you was up to. If he'd have told her that from the get-go, she would have never engaged in it. But she did under false pretenses, and now she was feeling something for this dude, so she wanted to see where it was going to go. But why? You got to consider that she just come out of a bad relationship, right? And this guy helped her get through that. So she feels something for this dude. She feels like she can trust him. When it was started on false pretenses, you can't trust him. But anyway, let me get to the story, though, the meat of the story. They're kicking it, writing, talking on the phone, this, and that. Visitation form doesn't get approved immediately, right? Why? Because they know that her brother's here. So they're trying to figure out, the penitentiary, these folks funny with this visitation stuff. They asked way too many questions. You know what I'm saying? They want to be all up in your business. But they have a different perspective than we do. They want to know, why would the brother allow his sister, why would the sister be come to see her brother Celley? You know, they thinking something slick. But anyway, here's the thing. After a while, and the warden talking to her, they decide to let her get on the visitation list. And they let her know, any shenanigans, it's OV. You're not going to be able to come see him or your brother as long as either one of them in the penitentiary under any circumstances if you do something slick. Because they're looking at this like this ain't making no sense. And that's how they do sometimes, these visitation people, I'm telling you. They want to know everything, like the FBI. So here we go. They come in to visit, and she's really falling for this dude. She's really falling for him, you know? Now he asked her to put some money on his books. He's trying to take care of some things. Oh, a little light, something, $20, $50. It wasn't a lot. She puts it on his books, and he's straight. Then one day at visit, he tells us, like, look, you wouldn't have to send me nothing, you know what I'm saying, if we could just take care of a little thing here and there, right? And she's like, what are you talking about? Now keep in mind, her brother's not at visit with her. She's at visit with her man. So she really don't have no way of knowing what's really going on. She's green to this. She don't know. She does not know. This is not TV, y'all. I say that all the time. So she tells him, wait a minute. Well, how do I do it? And he tells her the gritty. And she's like, I'm not doing that. And then he said, just listen to me. And he breaks it down. How she needs to wrap it, how she needs to bring it in, how he would get it from her, how he would get it back. He tells her all of that from A to Z, all the way. And what does that do? That freaks her out. Because now, listen to me. He tells her how to wrap this pack. She's not familiar with that. She's not familiar with that. So that means she's going to have to go buy some drugs, or pick up some drugs from a friend of his, take them back to her house, wrap it up. Then she's going to have to come to the prison to visit him with it inside of her body. And to her, she was like, no. And then after she gets into the prison, she's going to have to go into the restroom, take wherever, and take it out, bring it out, hand it off to him. So he can hand it off to somebody or take care of business himself. So she's listening to all of these details, and she's like, what in the world is going on? So she tells him, absolutely not. Now it's starting to dawn on her what the visitation people were trying to make her understand. You getting on the list of your brother's cellmate is fishy. It's fishy. You don't know him. Not like that. Not like that. Not like that. So now she's starting to think, okay, I see what they were talking about. So when she leaves and goes home, she calls her brother's girlfriend and she tells her when he calls, let me talk to him. I need to talk to him about something. So when he calls, she tells him, like, look, he told me this is what he wanted me to do. Now, you could tell she's green because she's saying this on the phone while they record. Her brother tells her, whoa, 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 don't do that. Don't say that. I get it. I understand what you're saying now. And he was like, what did you tell him? You told him no, of course, right? She's like, yeah, I told him no. So then he was like, then that's cool. Just leave it at that. Now that he know you ain't going to do it, he'll leave it alone. And her brother was hoping the fact that she said no, that would make him not want to be with her anymore. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. So when he gets back to the cell, he said, man, don't be asking my sister to bring nothing up in here. Look here, dude went hard on him. He said, man, that's my woman, man. And whatever we do is between us. I don't know why she told you anyway. You feel what I'm saying? And he's, because that's my sister. And of course, again, they get to fighting. They get to fighting. But at this point, it's like, ain't now one of them really good at it. Ain't nobody got knocked out. None of that. Ain't nobody so messed up that one of them got to tell the other one to get out of the cell. They're not hitting hard like that. They're not hitting hard like that. They mainly just grabbing on each other. They ain't really doing nothing. They ain't trying to kill nothing. They ain't trying to let nothing die. But here's the thing. Her brother's adamant about it. And he's not playing with him. So he does what a lot of people do when they don't get their way in here. He tells something to the internal affairs people. And they tell him, look, ain't nothing we can do about that until something happens. But if something happens, this is what we're going to do. We're going to lock her up, and we're going to lock him up. But his thing was, I'm telling y'all this so that y'all can stop her from coming to visit. Now, they're looking at him like, now keep in mind that that's the police. They want that arrest. They won't do. You feel what I'm saying? They won't do. So they get in touch with his sister, and they ask her. It scares her to death. But she tells them, yes, he asked me to do that. Immediately, they got the visit suspended. She didn't know that's what was going to happen, but her brother did. And that's what he wanted. So once the visits got suspended, now dudes get mad. So he files a grievance. And a grievance is something that you file in here when you have a problem with the administration to let somebody know what's going on and because you think that you're being treated unfairly. So he files this grievance saying that they removed, his girlfriend from his visitation list without cause. It goes to the warden. Of course, the warden has already been briefed by internal affairs about the information that they received from her brother and from her during a phone call. Right? So somehow or another, they didn't write it on paper. He finds out exactly what happens. Now, I told you that him and his Celley, they've already been fighting twice. Ain't now one of them really hitting like that. But now he has something that he can do to get him whooped real good. Because this dude has messed up his whole idea, his whole plan. So he goes to tell other people in the prison, look here, my cell is a rat. He went and turned me in to the people and man got my gal, took off my list because I got his gal taking care of business for me. Got his sister taking care of business for me. Next thing you know, dude is having all kind of problems on the compound. Everybody's whispering when he comes around, don't want to be around him when he is around. And now, in the penitentiary, when people are whispering about you like that, you got those bandits that come out. Them booty bandits. When they smell blood in the water, they start to make plans. They want something to happen because they feel like that ain't nobody going to help you and that you weak. So check out this. This is what happened. They stepped to dude. Now, dude been here in the room. He been here in the room, but he did have a couple of friends in there. that understood exactly where he was coming from. They didn't agree with what he did, but they wasn't going to let nothing happen to him. So they slid him at pocket nine. They told him, look here, man, anybody bump down on you like that, take care of your business. We'll be there with you. And they meant that. But they said, first and foremost, though, we need to get your Celley up out of here. So they all bumped down on dude. They all bumped down on, all three of them bumped down on him, right? Because, like I said, he had two friends. They all bumped down on him. Tell him, you got to go, pack your stuff, you got to get up out of here. Now, he a real coward, but he can fight one, but he can't fight three, especially with them butchers, right? So he packs up his stuff, goes to the officer, tell the officer that he has to check in. His life is in danger. So when he checks in, he goes to the back. He tell Internal Affairs that his Celley bumped down on him, you know what I'm saying, with some guys, and they were going to kill him. Now, the Internal Affairs, they understand all of the stuff that's been going on with this story because they are the ones that talked to his gal and got her taken off the list and so on and so forth. So they're understanding all this, but again, they're the police. They say, give us some information. He gives them some information about some other people. Now, you're noticing how all of this stuff is just going around and around and around and around in a circle. They're not really concerned about him. They're not really concerned about his sister. They're not really concerned about the brother. They're just trying to get information so they can continue to manage the prison. I'm not saying that her brother didn't do the right thing or did the right thing. What I'm saying is all of the things that happen in prison, they let it play out so that they can do what? Manage the prison. They want to know who's causing the problems. And not necessarily concerned about what the problem is, just that, are you a problem? Are you disrupting the natural flow of prison? And if you are, we want to know who you are so we can deal with you, put a little pressure on you to get a little information out of you about somebody else so we can do what? Manage the prison. This guy, out of an attempt, again, don't get me wrong, he didn't want his sister messing with dude. But he also didn't want his sister to get in no trouble. And the way he went about it to get her off the list, it falls right into the way that prison officials want us to solve our problems. Come to them and let them solve it. And it takes away from us being the arbiters of our own issues, solve our own problems. We don't get to do that. And that's something that's overlooked when you're in prison. Having the ability to solve your own problems without being manipulated and used. Without being manipulated and used. Because once his sister says she didn't want to do it, it's easy enough to solve the problem. Don't ever come to visit dude again. Don't ever come to visit dude again. That's simple enough. But her brother, in an attempt, a selfish attempt at that, to break them up, he goes to the administration, not understanding that the administration, they don't want her bringing it in, but they want to do something. They want to lock somebody down. They want to lock somebody down. They're not necessarily trying to change the behavior. They just want to manage the prison. Keep in mind that the industry, the prison industry, they don't want people, for the most part, and I know y'all might not want to believe this, but for the most part, this is their bread and butter. Solving this problem of crime, is it really in their best interest as an industry? You know what I mean? That's like saying to the car industry, look, to stop pollution, we need to get away from fossil fuels and deal with electric cars. But when you tell the same industries that's been dealing with oil and gas that you got to stop that, that means if they don't transition, you're going to put them out of business. How do prisons transition? Because the main product, the main commodity is the bodies. And if the behavior changes, then no more bodies, no more people to put in prison, right? And that transcends into the next generation of our kids and all of this stuff, right? Now, do you see how out of this story Do you see how out of this story we become so dependent on somebody else solving our problems that we don't do it ourselves? See, that's what the point of this story is about. Learning to solve our own problems, learning to be more responsible to each other, learning to talk directly to each other, learning to say to people, look, you wrong, and you're not going to take advantage of my sister, but also saying to your sister, you don't get it. You're not coming back up here no more. Do you understand why I'm saying that? I shouldn't have to feel like I need to go to the authorities at the prison to get you taken off the list because I don't trust that you won't do what I'm telling you, because when I told you this dude was a bad dude and he stole this information, you still wanted to come visit him. You didn't want to listen. You understand? See, we got to get more in tune with taking care of each other in a way to where I'm not telling you that you don't need the police. I'm not saying that, because I know some of y'all going to think I'm saying that. That's not what I'm saying. We need the police, y'all. But we need the police that's going to treat us right. We need the police that's not so concerned about protecting the industry and getting arrested. We need the police to be more concerned about helping us, helping people in our communities, helping people in the prison system change their behavior so that we don't have these problems. That's my point out of this story. And I know a lot of y'all might not get what I'm trying to say, but I think a lot of you will. We have become so dependent. We have become so dependent on the system helping us do what's right by our loved ones that we don't do right by our loved ones. We create situations to be manipulated and used and taken advantage of by people in the streets and by people in the system that run the system. And that has to stop. But again, just wanted to drop that on you. These stories, I tell you, sometimes I get to run in my mouth and I get all the way off point, but I don't think I did with this one. I just wanted you to know that sometimes the things that are going on in here, talk to your loved ones. Now, if they don't listen, do what you do. They might need to get, some help that brought in to deal with them. But for the most part, be stern with them and say, no, that's not going to happen. Or no, you shouldn't be doing that. How people go in is how they come out. Unless something intervenes. You got to have some kind of intervention right there. You know what I'm saying? When she was told that dude stole that information, went in her brother's property, that was red flags right there. And she didn't even listen because she was in love. I get it. But y'all know what I'm saying. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.